Who is the smelliest Greek god? Uranus. Thank you. I know, I am very funny. Yes, the next 3 weeks we will be back on our theogony train. We will be doing Gaia's first 3 children, starting with Uranus, or Uranos, but never Uranus. Unless, of course, it's for an incredibly good joke, like I have just performed for you all. So who is Uranus? To answer that question, we must start again with Gaia. She wished to make a partner who was her equal, so she produced the sky, who covered her in his beautiful aura. This was Uranus, deriving his name from the Proto-Greek and Proto-Indo-European words meaning rainmaker or lord of rain. It really suits him here because he is the god of the heavens or the sky, not the heavenly sky though, just to make that clear. Uranus would then come over Gaia every night.
Oh, Tony, I thought you were a goner there.
She bore his children. She had 3 sets of children, the Titans, who would go on to be the next set of ruling gods, of which there were 12 who will all be covered at some point. The Cyclopes, who were great craftsmen and would eventually build Zeus his famous lightning bolt. And finally the Hecatoncheires, with 50 heads and 100 hands. They would eventually go on to guard Tartarus. Uranus, repulsed by his children, specifically the Hecatoncheires, gave them a punishment, and depending on which version you read, it's very different. In one version you read, he sent them down to Tartarus, or, much more painfully one can assume, shoved them into Gaia's womb. Yikes. Gaia was none too pleased about having 3 giant Hecatoncheires shoved back up inside her, so she petitioned the Titans to rebel against Uranus. None were willing to do such a thing, except the youngest and bravest among them, god of the harvest, Kronos. Fashioning Kronos a scythe or sickle made of flint, she sent her youngest Titan son to castrate her lover. Talk about a bad breakup, right? Kronos did as his mother had requested, and cut off the primordial god's balls. In doing so, a few things happened, and it's hard to say if any of them were more significant than the other, so I'm not going to order them in any particular way, but here they are. The first being that Kronos is now the chief god of the pantheon, no longer Uranus, beginning the age of Titans. From the blood spilled out of this wound sprang forth a few sets of deities, these being the Furies, the Melei, and also the Gigantes, who in turn would try to stage their own coup against Zeus and the Olympians in the future. And finally, when the testes fell into the great primordial sea, they bubbled and foamed, and out from it came Aphrodite, the goddess of love, fully formed and fully mature. From that point on, Uranus never came over Gaia at night,
Careful, Tony.
but instead remained fixed above Gaia always. It was during this time that Gaia and Uranus gave their prophecy to Kronos, that he too would be overthrown, but we shall get to that point soon enough in the series. Uranus was never actually worshipped in any sort of cult or in any real significant way. People believed in him and may have had small sects, but there was no worship on a larger scale. The castration of Uranus is seen more of the time before time, and then when Kronos takes over, it's sort of the beginning of time. It's very strange. Something interesting is that Uranus seems to be one of those gods that came from Proto-Indo-European myth, as similarities can be seen in many different Indo-European cultures. One strikingly similar story is in the Hurrian myth, but this castration is done with teeth, not a sickle. Uranus has had a profound and lasting impact on the modern world, specifically in the scientific world. With the discovery of the 7th planet from the Sun in the 18th century, debate was rife on what to call the new world, until finally in the 19th century it was settled that it should be named Uranus, making it the only planet in our solar system named after a Greek god and not a Roman one. Another thing I find quite interesting and quite striking really is how he lends his name to the element uranium. Uranium is an element that is used in nuclear weapons and nuclear power, and it's strange that it's got its name after that primordial being. It's almost as if its name is representing how powerful and dangerous this thing can be. But that is Uranus. Hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. If you did, remember to do the usual like, comment and subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications. As always, you can check out my socials down in the description along with the subreddit, my TIL vids if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're on TIL, you can check out my YouTube down below. As always, I shall see you next week, babies.